Welcome, everybody, to Carvis Twig's Bird of the Day. I am joined today by a silly goose, a snow goose named Gilbert. Now, it feels like it would be wrong for me to have on a goose and then have the bird of the day not be a goose. So, my bird of the day is standing right next to me. The bird of the day is the snow goose. Look at that. Look at those beautiful geese. Actually, kind of looking at the one on the right. Actually, both of them, they kind of look like they got like grills in. You know, like the gold teeth grills. They kind of, these are some gangsta geese right here.
Yeah.
We got the snow goose. Now, if you live in North America, this is the second most common type of goose you're going to see in North America after the Canada goose. And what a beautiful, majestic goose. I mean, look at them. I mean, you think goose, that's what you see there. Beautiful geese. Look at these two little fellas here. So let me tell you a little bit more about the snow goose. Well, they are 25 to 31 inches long. And that's mostly body there. Like, they don't have super long tails. You know, some birds, it'll be like, this is a 12-inch long bird, and like 7 of the inches are their tail. Now these guys, that's mostly body. And then, oddly enough, they stand, you know, kind of between like 28 to 34 inches tall when they're standing fully up and down. They also got nice big wings, a 53 to 65-inch wingspan. Nice big wings. But they got to fly long distances, so they need big, powerful wings like that. Weight-wise, they're going to be 4.5 to 9 pounds. So like I said, a goose is attacking you. This thing weighs less than 10 pounds. It's not going to hurt you. They don't weigh that much. But, I mean, they got 100 pounds of fight in 7 pounds of goose. And then lifespan-wise, actually pretty decent lifespan for a wild bird. Average is about 27 years. The oldest banded was 30 years and 9 months. So, but most of them, you know, if they reach adulthood, they have a very good chance of reaching their mid to late 20s. So good on them. Good on them.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good lifespan. And they are anseriforms, which is most commonly known as waterfowl. And Anatidae is the family that includes ducks, geese, and swans. So, and then usually the Anser genus is going to be, most of your geese are going to be in the Anser genus. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce that species name. You just read it. Just figure it out.
We'll look at it. Yeah, just look at it.
So as I was saying, they are a North American goose. So on that map there, the blue regions up to the north are going to be their breeding ranges, and it's where they're going to spend most of their summer times. And then the kind of reddish, orange, brownish colors at the bottom there, that's where they're going to migrate down to in the wintertime. So it seems they really like that central U.S. area there. They like Louisiana. They like the coasts of eastern Mexico there. I'm just sad that none of that is in Minnesota. The only times we see these in Minnesota is when they're flying overhead.
Yep.
But I think it is interesting how much of Canada they don't live in the summertime. Like, they really go up north to those like pretty cold tundra-y areas, which are supposed to be very beautiful in the summertime.
It's in their name too, so I mean,
of course. Yes. Yeah, the Canada goose tends to be more kind of in those mid-ranges. So they actually don't have a ton of overlap with the Canada goose. And it's almost like the geese have like kind of, it's like, all right. Because, I mean, they're tough birds. They're like, this is our territory. This is your territory. And they respect the territories. They ain't going to incur on each other's territories. Well, I'm sure they do sometimes. I'm sure there's some crossover. But, those northern regions. I wonder if there's any snow geese. There's that one island up there that's... I'm trying to remember what the name of the island is. But it's one of those bigger islands up there. There's a lake on that island that has an island in the lake. And on that island, there is a smaller lake. And in that smaller lake, there is an island. So there's an island in a lake on an island in a lake on an island. And I wonder if the snow goose has ever been on that small little island.
I wonder, actually. That's a good question.
It's possible. They're actually pretty sure that no human has ever been set foot on there because it's so remote. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way to get there. But the geese, they might own it. Maybe they've got a little shrine built there. I don't know. Yeah, these guys, they like the cold weather. They can handle it a lot better. You know, water that's just barely above freezing. No problem for them. No problem. Now, one of the things that I do love about these fellas is they are monogamous. They form a lifelong mating. So usually, first year, they're just little cute little baby chicks. First year, they tend to stick around and live with their parents, and actually, they'll help, like, guard and protect their younger siblings. And then at 2 years, maybe third year, is when they're going to find a mate. And them and their mate, they might leave their parents and go find another flock and get a mate there. Sometimes there's, like, what they call almost like teenage flocks, where there's, like, geese that are 2 or 3 years old, like, congregate to find a mate. And then they might form their own little flock above. Yeah, it's kind of weird how it works, but it's like they sometimes stick around, they sometimes leave, but either way, they're gonna find a mate. And they will quite frequently stick with that mate for the rest of their life. You know, if a mate dies, they'll probably try and find another one. But yeah, they mate for life. And usually the female is going to want to go back to the same spot where she was born to lay her eggs. So that's kind of neat. But the interesting thing is that, like, when they're like 2 or 3 years old, they're going to form that mating bond with their partner. But they're going to then wait a year to have children. That's pretty rare. Usually it's like, I like you, you like me. All right, we're smashing. All right, we got babies now. This is our life now. We're parents now. But no, they actually wait a year. That's some human behavior right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of interesting. It's unusual bird behavior. You're going to have 3 to 5 eggs per clutch, and they're only going to do 1 clutch per year because these little babies, they don't grow up super fast. It takes kind of their whole first year to grow up. They're some of the slowest. I mean, there's other birds that's like, well, I'm 8 weeks old. I'm an adult now. Bye. But these little guys take a little longer. But, oh God, look at that picture down there. Aren't they so cute? I mean,
I love them.
Baby waterfowl might be the cutest babies. I mean, you know that I've got some issues with waterfowl. Although, really, it's gulls I have the biggest problem with. But, you know me and waterbirds. It's not my favorite. I mean, you're obviously an exception. You're one of the good ones. I should say that. That's terrible. But, I mean, waterfowl, they got the cutest babies. I mean, come on. Look at those little golden nuggets. You're so cute. The females are going to be doing pretty much all the incubation, while the males are going to kind of protect the area. And it is a nice thing is that, like, all the males are going to protect all the babies because they tend to nest in communities. They're going to, like, find a pond or something. It's usually going to be near water, and all the nests are going to be kind of clustered up near each other. And so the males are just going to kind of be like roaming guards. And so, like, yeah, he's protecting his own nest, but by protecting his nest, he's by default protecting all the other nests too. Because unfortunately, that is when they are at their most vulnerable. Those nests are on the ground. So snakes, foxes, weasels, there's but by the female staying at the nest a lot of times, she can, it's not easy to get to the egg when there's an adult goose sitting on top of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, one of the interesting things, some babies, when they hatch, they're kind of helpless for a few weeks, and they just are those little grotesque little gremlins that need to be fed.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, geese, it's like, well, I was born at 10 o'clock. Time for me to, it's dinner time. I guess I got to go find my own dinner now. Born at 10, eating their own dinner at 6. And so, yeah, the chicks basically go out and leave the nest, and the parents do not feed the chicks. The chicks do it all on their own. Now, the chicks are going to be grazing and stuff, and the adults are going to be standing nearby, keeping watch, and maybe showing them what to eat. But the babies are going to be pretty much eating on their own. And then, yeah, they do it as a flock. So, I mean, I think you probably, certainly if you live in the United States, you've probably seen a flock of Canada gooses. And it's just like a whole group of them, and they're all just kind of walking around pecking at the grass. That's kind of how they do it too. It's like the babies are there. The babies are kind of part of the community. They know which ones are theirs, but the community raises the babies, and the babies just get their own food while the adults just kind of supervise, show them where to go. And I think that's wonderful. You know, I like community life. I like community birds that watch out for each other. And you know, because of this system, these babies probably have some of the highest, you know, I should say lowest infant mortality, if that makes sense. Like they're more likely to survive to adulthood than other birds. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like a sparrow might have 20 babies a year, and 4 of them might survive to adulthood, whereas, you know, on average of a clutch of 3 to 5, you know, maybe the average is 2 to 3 survive to adulthood, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a scary world out there for a wild bird. Now, you saw in that first picture, and in this one in the bottom right here, I know it's a second to last point, but I want to mention it's like, how come some of them have a dark brown body and some of them have a white body with the black tipped wings? It turns out that there is a genetic markers that tell you what kind of feather colors you're going to have. And there's a rare genetic trait that causes like one in every 100 snow goose has a dark brown body. And they are called the blue goose.
Yeah.
And I think
love that name for them.
I think that's kind of neat. I don't know why they call them blue gooses. Those feathers don't look blue to me.
No.
Once in a blue goose. Oh my god, that'd be such a great phrase.
Oh, that's so good.
That is great. But yeah, I was talking about them being communal. Well, during the breeding season, their flocks might be like 12 to 30 birds. During migration season, it might be 100,000 to even over 1 million. I think the largest flock of these geese ever seen was estimated to be around 1.4 million geese. Can you imagine the sound? There's too many geese. That's too many geese.
I need to be where my people are.
Yeah, like a flock of 10,000 of these guys would be a small flock during the migration period. And you think about that, it's just like you're in one like a big pond in Texas or something, and suddenly millions of geese. My God. But fear not, folks, for these geese will not harm you because they are herbivores. They might occasionally eat an insect, but only by accident because they were trying to eat the plant that the insect was on. They will eat a pretty wide variety of things. Grasses, you know, flowers, like you name a kind of plant that's, you know, edible, they'll eat it. But here's the thing. So the snow goose is a little more mean to plants than the Canada goose. Whereas the Canada goose will be like, they will trim the plants. They'll peck off a leaf. They'll pull off a flower. They'll take the top part of the grass. The snow goose is like, screw that. I'm uprooting this motherfucker and will eat the whole thing. They will really like they can actually be pretty devastating to natural plant life. Which means that if you are a farmer and a flock of these geese lands in one of your fields, that could be really bad. So farmers don't really like the snow goose. Now, luckily, it's not too much of an issue because up in their breeding range, there's not a whole lot of farmland up there. And but yeah, down in Texas and like, kind of that southern area of the U.S. where there's a lot of farmland, these guys can be a
Yeah.
real problem. And that actually makes it because unlike Canada gooses, well, it depends on Canada gooses, depends on where you are, what time of year and stuff. But these guys in the southern United States, it is legal to hunt them for sport because they do not want to have the fields ruined by them. Which, I mean, yeah, if a million geese are ripping up all your crops, I kind of understand it. But they eat a lot. They really eat a lot. And they also have an incredibly fast digestive system. And, well, what is the other thing that geese are known for? It's defecating. And these guys, they say a snow goose can poop 6 to 15 times. Did I say per day? No, I did not mean per day. Per hour. Now, Gilbert,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
maybe this is too personal of a question. I mean, okay, we'll just move on from that one.
I'm not keeping count.
We're not keeping count. Yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing is that a goose goes when a goose needs to go. That's just true with all birds. We poop when we need to poop, and we don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, think about that. 1 million geese pooping 6 to 15 times an hour. Oh, God, so much. Literally a shitstorm. Yeah, that's right, buddy. That's right. These guys are shit factories. But fortunately, because it's all plant matter, goose poop doesn't really smell bad. It's just plant matter, but if you got it all over your sidewalks and your lawn or something. But I imagine it's probably pretty good for fertilizing. It's good fertilizer.
I was gonna say.
It's fine. It's plant matter that's been processed. It's probably very good fertilizer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's all natural.
Since there are millions of them, they are a species of least concern. And in fact, their population has almost quadrupled. Growing by 300% means quadrupled. So that confused me. It's just like, wait, isn't 300% 3 times? No, because 100% is doubling, so 200%. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
The math is wild.
The math is confusing. But yeah, population almost quadrupled since the 1970s, and their estimated population right now is around 5 million birds. That's a lot of birds. For a wild population, 5 million is pretty good. So I don't think we need to worry too much about the snow goose going anywhere. They make lots of babies every year. Their babies are likely to grow to adulthood, and yeah, they're thriving. They're in their lane, thriving, having a good time. So, on our right there, we have a demonstration of how many there are. There's actually, if you look at it on the ground there's a significant number of the blue geese down there.
Yeah, they stand out.
Yeah, they really do. There's so many. Okay, I was trying to find a video to play, but I didn't find one that didn't have a lot of voiceover or wasn't 20 minutes long or something. But there's some videos out there on YouTube of these giant flocks of snow geese, and highly recommend looking them up because my God. But what do I think about the snow goose? I mean, it is a waterfowl, but I don't want to be mean because, well, I got one right next to me right here, and I feel like I need to say nice things. I mean, look, there's a lot to admire about these guys. I am a huge fan of birds that mate for life and do communal child rearing. I respect that a lot. They're not the smartest animal. Not the smartest birds, but that's okay. I think the snow goose, I think they're fine. They don't have the reputation of being mean like the Canada gooses, and I don't know. I like the snow goose. I think they're all right. I think I'm a little afraid of them. I think if I was in that field right there and that was around me, I would just freeze in place and like die of fright. But but I mean, obviously, being one yourself, well, now that you've heard me give the presentation, what are your thoughts, Gilbert?
Well, it's very interesting because technically I do not classify myself as a wild goose. I am considered domesticated. so. So, listening and hearing all the things that my other fellow brethren, geese do, it's pretty great. Except I don't fly.
You don't fly. Yeah.
Most domesticated geese do not fly.
It's true. It's like the
Hmm.
whole thing of like, I didn't know turkeys could fly. Well, yeah, it's because domesticated turkeys can't fly, but wild
Yeah.
turkeys sure can.
Yeah. Yeah, we technically don't build up our muscles. So when a lot of these geese migrate for all these seasons, I don't get to go with them.
Well, I mean, I think you just like look at the flying V going overhead, and then you just get on your motorcycle and follow the V. Problem is they don't always fly over the freeways. They take some detours and shortcuts. That makes it real hard.
Hmm. Yeah, which is why with this one specifically being a snow goose, I was like, I'm gonna fly one way or another. So airplane it is.
Yeah. Just get yourself on a. Just make sure you ride an Airbus. Um,
Yeah.
don't book a flight on a Boeing right now. 'Cause,
Oh my god, don't remind me. I've seen everything about this lately and I'm like concerned.
yeah, it turns out that when you let a business regulate themselves, and then the people that are in charge of all their decision making are MBAs and not engineers, quality and safety take a second thing. But luckily, the snow goose, there have been no issues with their legs or wings falling off mid-flight. They seem to stay pretty well attached, so
Hmm.
the snow goose, better at flying than Boeing. And I guess that's the last thing we have to say about that. So we're going to call this bird of the day done, and we're going to get ourselves back to the studio, all right?
Okay.
All right.